What's going on? Oh man, it's good to be back. Been away, been a long time. Hold on. Struggle streaming. Audio working? Okay, there we go. All right. What's going on, Rebel family? All right, so like I said, it's been a long time. I know I'm a little bit late on this one about the whole gatekeeping the manosphere, just pearly things and all this so forth. But I gotta tell you what's been going on with me on this side. So I guess about yeah, it was about a month ago. Whenever this kind of stuff was going on, the my wife came to me and my daughter's gonna was gonna be flying out of the country. It's first time out of the country. She's gonna be working out of the country, and she was a little bit hesitant about going and a little nervous about going over to Paris by herself and so forth. So the wife said, "Hey, why don't we fly over with her?" So your kids never stop being your kids, no matter how old they get or whatever. So we decided to do that. And while I'm while I'm in Paris, this is when all of the just pearly stuff popped off that whole week or whatever. So I'm kind of out of the loop. I'm seeing all of the um videos going back and forth with, I think the first one I saw was Omawali, Africa. Shout out to him. I saw his video first, and I think I saw actually let me back up. Before that, I saw O'Shea Duke Jackson's video about how just pearly things, was kind of blowing up or whatever in the manosphere. And I didn't even really kind of pay attention to her. I had seen her videos on Twitter. They would clip them and put them on video. I didn't even know her name. And matter of fact, I didn't even know her name until I looked up the video, the interview that she did with what's the guy's name? Hafiz from the Roommates. So I didn't even know her name. I would click on the videos and they had the English accent, so I immediately clicked off because I was like, I can't. You know, their issues may be similar to ours, but they're different. So it's kind of like, I'm not interested. But anyway, so I'm over. We're in Paris. We're hanging out with the daughter, hanging out in Paris, and go check out some sites or whatever. And when we get back, when we get back, and like a few days after I got back, I'm like, oh my god, I feel like crap. And I'm telling the wife, I said, man, how you feel? I was like, "Well, I feel, I'm coming down with something. And sure enough, it's like, boom. I mean, it's just headache, congestion, just felt miserable, run down. It wasn't C-19, but it was something, and it was something wicked. And I've been down. Matter of fact, I'm still, I'm still coughing a bit, and still chest congestion, and it seemed like it would go and then come back. And it's funny because my wife just this week was like, man, she's feeling it like again, like a third round of this stuff. And and I kind of woke up this morning. I'm like, yo, like I said, I gotta get on. I said, it's been too long since I've been on and did anything. And it seems for me, whenever I come down with anything at this point, I, I, I went to Mecca back in 2007, and ever since then, I got into something. Something got into me, I should say, back then, that now just not. I don't get sick very often, but when I do, it affects my voice. Like I get laryngitis. I mean, I can't speak. My throat. I mean, it just really goes. For the jugular, no pun intended, but it just really gets to my throat and I can't speak. So when 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 I get when I come down with any, I guess, upper respiratory, whatever, it just immediately shuts my throat down. And that's kind of where we've been with where at least where I've been with that. And it's been just trying to get back to 100%. I don't even feel 100% now, but I wanted to do it. And it's not going to be a long live stream tonight or whatever, but I did want to talk about it. There's some things I did want to discuss, because I think some things that the brothers missed, I feel that they missed, or I believe that they missed in discussing some of these issues in terms of the just pearly things, and gatekeeping the black manosphere, and just, I guess, the dust up or whatever between Omawali Africa and Obsidian, Mumia Obsidian Ali's YouTuber, Black Manosphere, I guess founder, co-founder, what have you. Anyway, so I guess I'll start with the just pearly things, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna take eclipse. Like I said, I'm not 100%, but it's also a bit selfish because there's some good fights coming on tonight. I want to sit and enjoy watching Frank Martin fight tonight. But anyway, so the whole thing about the I think the conversation that Omawali Africa had about, I think the question was phrased wrong in terms of, should we gatekeep the black manosphere or should we gatekeep the manosphere, whatever. There was a should there. I think he asked the panelists. It was framed as a should, not as a how, meaning how to gatekeep the black manosphere. And because he actually, in that discussion, he proved that the manosphere the question, he answered it himself actually by what he presented, that obviously Obsidian and O'Shea Duke Jackson did gatekeep the manosphere, and he gave two examples. He gave the example of April Mason, that O'Shea said something about April Mason, that if brothers work with her or something, they're out of the Black Manosphere. I think he gave the example where he O'Shea kind of said, "Hey, fresh and fitter out of the Black Manosphere, go over to the white side or whatever." And then he gave the example that Obsidian, uh, I don't even know the guy. I don't, I don't know half the players in these YouTube streets, but I think it was Anthony Dream Johnson or Anthony Dream, whoever it is, some guy, some white guy from the white side of the manosphere, 21 conventions or whatever. I think he was trying to come over to the black side of YouTube or whatever, and he stated that Obsidian was like, "Nah, just stay on over on the other side." So he answered the question, should it be gatekeep or whatever? Should we gatekeep the matter? Yeah, of course. Yes. Should we gatekeep black spaces? Absolutely. 100%. Question is absolutely 100% gatekeep that side. They gate everybody else gatekeeps, but so yes, then yes, obviously black people can, even in a YouTube space which black people don't own, you can still gatekeep. Obviously, yes. Um but I think the question it was framed incorrectly. It shouldn't have been a how, because then you got to, or excuse me, it should have been framed how, not should, because a lot of people just answering the should it, why should it be, back and forth, as opposed to just getting to the meat and potatoes of it, and how do you do it? That's the question that should have been asked, and that's the question that more so times when we have to when we think to ask a question we already know the answer to, we should actually implement solutions. This is one of the things that why I really respect Neely Fuller, because we're not supposed to get together and discuss problems. We only discuss solutions to problems. Everybody, we all know the problems. We should just discuss the solutions. So honestly, I thought Omar Wali was, when I saw his video, I kind of thought he was off. I was like, "Oh, the brother's a little bit off." I said, "I didn't think O'Shea was crowning uh just Pearly Things as the woman king of the manosphere and so forth." I thought he was just remarking on how she blew up, and I didn't really, like I said, I didn't even pay attention to it. I just went to her channel, got that video, looked at the video, clipped it up, and talked about it. I didn't pay attention to her, how she had blown up, and went from 100,000 to almost 500,000. She was almost at 500,000. Then when I saw the video, I was like, okay, well, I didn't really pay attention, so I went and took a look at the channel. It was already 500,000. So O'Shea giving her that, I hadn't heard anyone else really talking about her. And this is just from my purview. No one had really talked about her until the Hafiz thing. I hadn't seen her really on any other platforms. And I guess even around that time when the whole Hafiz thing popped up, I guess she went over on Lapeef. I don't watch that network, but you know, or she might have been over there a week before that interview dropped or whatever it was. I'm not familiar with the timeline, but nonetheless, before she even got on those platforms, she had already be close to 500,000, if not already there. At least 400,000. She was already there before she got on any platform in the Black Manosphere. So I was kind of like, maybe Omar Wali is a little bit. He's reaching a little bit on that. I said, because it didn't seem like O'Shea was crowning her, even though he kind of compared her rise to Kevin Samuels in 2020, and then the lead attorney. What's the guys? TL Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews and Poor Man's Podcast in 2021 or whatever, 2022. I don't remember the exact whatever. All I know is it was 3 years straight. It was Kevin one year, then the three brothers, TLA, the lead attorney, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews and Poor Man's Podcast another year, and then he was saying, "Oh, okay, for this year, it's her that has this explosive growth." I thought he was just talking about the growth, right? But this is, like I said, this is coming from my purview because I don't watch a lot of other content um provide or creators or whatever. I watch, there's a few that I watch regularly. If I get a chance to watch any at all, it's just a few and that I watch, regularly or whatever. And it's because most of the time it's something that it's in a wheelhouse that I am not as versed in. So, obviously you can draw and you can learn from someone discussing things that you are not as familiar with, or you're not as knowledgeable in. So no problem. But anyway, so I don't watch a lot of them. But then actually, so then I sat down and was, like I said, and I'm in Paris while I'm doing this, right? So I'm listening to the video, so I can't really focus and so forth. And so Omawali's pulling the receipts. He's got content creators all over the Black Manosphere, and maybe not the the founding fathers or whatever you want to call them, or the biggest channels in the Black Manosphere maybe weren't talking about her like that, but obviously there was a lot of chatter. So shout out to you, Omawali, for that, because I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you keep track of, because I just some of the people that you even some of the people that you some of the clips that you play from some of the content creators on your streams. I'm just like, yo, I couldn't listen to them. You know what I mean? But Omawali's able to keep all of this, you know, keep track of it all. And I'm like, okay, so shout out. But anyway, um, so now I'm like, okay, well, all right, well, you know what? I was wrong. I'm like, okay, well, there are some brothers who are really like, hey, and to me, I agree with I agree with Alan Obi from the We Need to Talk channel, and I think he said it to Chantel Chantel Simone. He was having a discussion with her some while back, and he pretty much stated to her that she was the majority of her viewers are men, so she's not really reaching women. She's reaching men, and she's really regurgitating talking points that other men the other men are stating. So she's not really the target group that she wants to affect, because she says she wanted to speak to women. She's not really hitting that group when more of her subscribers are men. And he pretty much was like, there really isn't any benefit for women saying what men are saying, or teaching other men. You know what I mean? And I kind of felt that way, and I felt him when he said it, because I talked about some of the toxic women, or just women in the manosphere in general. And there were some that I pointed out that I thought, she was one of them, and from the standpoint of she wasn't toxic, because I contrasted some who weren't toxic, or at least up until that point. I think she got a little bit when she kind of took it a little bit personal, too far with Courtney Michelle. But I don't want to you know uh sidetrack too much. But um I think since time has shown itself, I think Shay Sade is probably the r- the realest true one, that because I think she would probably reach more women than men, and she just doesn't regurgitate talking points from men or the Black Manosphere. But like I said, I'm not going to get sidetracked on that. But I always felt that way, and I feel that there are more. At least this is what I see. I see that a lot of the women in and around the Black Manosphere, they just do nothing but regurgitate the red pill Black Manosphere talking points, or whatever that men are speaking of. I mean, there's a few of them, and is it a grift? It's not a grift. I don't consider it a grift when adult people make the decision to click on a video, or spend their money wherever they decide to spend their money from, because I believe they absolutely understand that they are getting some value. So I don't believe it's a grift. Are they doing it solely for? the money making opportunities. Maybe, I don't know. You can't read anybody's mind. But anyway, so so uh so just Pearly Things is just the latest one. And of course, unfortunately, a lot of our people will go crazy over white people doing simple things that black people do. You see some white woman reciting rap lyrics, or you see some white man dancing at oh hell, stepping with one of the uh black fraternities. He's stepping with them, or some black or some white guy dancing at the cookout or whatever. And people, I don't know why they lose their minds over it, but well, I do know why. I mean, it's white supremacy, obviously, the programming. But so in looking at the video, I was like, okay, all right, so I was wrong, because I don't see all of this stuff that's going on out here. And so and getting into the discussion a little bit further, which I saw this video, that Omar Wally on his channel. He had a discussion about high value relationships. And I thought it was a very good build on that discussion. And I actually wanted to really focus on that live stream and just kind of put down my thoughts, because I actually started uh, putting a framework, and I'm still planning on doing that. It's just just a lot of things that got caught up. I actually had um, I had a cutover that I was going to do tonight, but it got postponed. One of the clients, one of their major players on their side, was not available. So he's out of town or whatever. So it was kind of like, all right, well, I'm not really feeling good anyway. So we'll just push it out, till probably it's going to be next year before it gets done now, because maintenance windows are going to close. Actually, this is probably the last maintenance window, since next Friday or next Saturday will be the 24th. Yeah, so we're done for the rest of the year anyway. So I just had a lot of projects going on, a lot of configurations and so forth. But anyway, um, so I thought it was a very good build. I wanted to build on that high value relationship, and just kind of lend my voice to that conversation. And Mumia Obsidian Ali was on that. Um, he was on that live stream, and I thought he brought an aspect to the conversation that um, is often missing when Omawali has panels, in particular when they're discussing um, relationships amongst black people. And I understand Omawali may not be able to do it, because most of the time he's the host. It's on his channel, so he's acting as a host. But what Obsidian brings is a wealth of knowledge, and he brings data in that arena from black male female relationships. So he's bringing in statistical data, which is very much needed to frame the conversation, because a lot of times it's just about what the panelists feel should happen, but then no one's actually citing data. So in that conversation, there was data being cited, and I thought that was good for the build. And I had hoped that, like I said, I didn't. Right after that, I pretty much was gone. We flew out or whatever, and then I caught the other things the next Saturday or weekend or whatever it was, the next week or whatever. Um, so I didn't get a chance, and I had hoped that these brothers could do more collabs like that in terms of the relationship, because I think the black relationship piece, because I think all areas, I think both sides of the argument need to be framed, or need to be stated, because then y- y- you'll parse out the best solution for getting this thing solved. Because if everyone thought the same as Omawali, from that mindset, you're not seeing the whole other side of the argument. And I thought that's what Obsidian brought. So I thought it was a good build, but little did I know that it would turn into what it's turned into now, what have you. And let me tell you how I got there, because like I said, I'm not gonna play any clips of all this stuff because it's way too many hours of back and forth and content that to clip up. So from my understanding, and this is based on what Omawali shared, that I guess in the comments of that particular video, I guess people were kind of saying that Obsidian didn't have the best showing, or uh, he it wasn't a debate, so it's but anyway, but I guess that he didn't do well or whatever, and I thought he did. I thought it was because it wasn't a debate; it was just a discussion, and I thought the or I thought what he brought was valuable. But I will say this, and I think Omawali has acknowledged this, that um, he came in hot into the YouTube manosphere space or whatever, the content creation space, and he came in hot. So I he and like I said, he's acknowledged that he said how um, he's had to step back on some things or what have you. But I think that set up a type of combative type of you know us against you versus you kind of deal. And I saw that very clear in the Omawali did he interviewed, what's the guy's name, BGS Ibmore, and I was like, okay, well, I've heard some of BGS stuff or whatever, and I'm like, okay, so these brothers are um you know they are, I wouldn't say polar opposites, but they have differing viewpoints. So I was like, okay, interviews like that tend to be pretty good because you can have it, if you gonna have an honest conversation, then it could be very productive. But hell, it wasn't like a damn conversation. It was like, okay, we're in combat, and that's kind of how BGS treated the interview. And I actually cut it off. I was like, okay, I can't take the everything was like a okay. I don't want to say too much, because if I say too much and I overplay my hand, and then Omawali is going to capitalize on me tipping my hand, and it's kind of like, so I got to keep my cards close to my chest. So, and I'm like, yeah, that was like a terrible interview. You know what I mean? It was like, it was horrible. I turned it off. I was like, I can't take it. And I think that's kind of how it is with some of them in the manosphere. And I said it when Omawali started his race power manhood podcast, season one, I think that's the name of it. But anyway, um and some of the titles were of, he came in jabbing. I mean, he came in jabbing hard at you know Kevin Samuels, Anton Daniels, I mean, there's a host of them. He came in jabbing hard, and for a while I was like, okay, well, I know they see his content. And I was like, okay, they must have a gag order on the brother. Like, they're not going to mention his name or what have you. And for like, this went on for like couple of months, I think. And then it was kind of, and he might have been seeing that they were talking about him indirectly or whatever, but I didn't see it because, like I said, I don't watch everybody that he was talking about. But just from some of the major ones, I was like, okay, it seems like they got a gag order on him. I had known Obsidian to obviously call people out by name, like I saw him do with Donovan Sharp, and of course his never ending thing with Derek Jackson and whoever. And um so I thought they had a gag order on the brother, but then obviously they finally started. There was some kind of back and forth, but that kind of set up clearly, I don't know if I don't know if that was just a content strategy on Mawali's content strategy, but he came in jabbing. He didn't come in particular to have a conversation with the brothers. It was, I mean, putting brothers in pink sashes and stuff like this or whatever. So and like I said again, to his credit, he's acknowledged, hey, look, you know, it may have been how he came up, but then I think him getting interviews with some of them, O'Shea, Obsidian, BGS, whoever else he might have interviewed, but I think, but because he's always seemed to be sincere about his, love and care for the black community, but he came in jabbing, so it kind of set up that it kind of set up might have set up that dynamic. So if Obsidian felt like he didn't do a good showing, then what happened? Boom. Um, Obsidian does a live stream, and it's like, you know, kind of taking shots at Omawali, and I was like, okay, hold up, where did this come from? Like I said, again, it just was like, okay, we're now they just had a good build. Um, you know, why he was just on his brother's channel. Now he's over here, and again, I don't know what transpired between that Sunday and then I don't know, however, whatever it was, a week and a half, whatever it was later, that now Obsidian has a podcast and he's talking about Omawali and and he's taking personal shots. It wasn't just a difference of opinion. He's taking personal shots. And I'm gonna be honest with you. And I saw, like I said, I didn't clip any of it up. I just kind of was, watching from the clouds or whatever, because I wasn't even home. I wasn't even in country. So just just sitting back, and then like I said, the videos kind of went back and forth, and I think Omawali pulled up on that live stream after I don't know how many ever hours, but because I couldn't, I was like, I can't watch 5 hour live streams. I just can't do it. But I think he pulled up some hours later. He wound up clipping it and put it on his channel. And honestly, if he hadn't done what he did, and I'll probably maybe I'll clip this and kind of show some screenshots so I get an opportunity. But Omawali came up and he put in the right here where you see Robo the Rebel. He put in there Obsidian's father, and that was a classic troll. I probably would have lost respect for Omawali if he hadn't have done something like that, because for a brother taking shots at you who was just on your podcast, um, and then get get that was weird. But anyway, so they kind of went back and forth. They had a verbal back and forth or whatever. And then it was like after that, it was kind of like fast and furious. I mean, I think like every day or every other day, Obsidian was talking about Omawali. Something he mentioned. I don't think there's been a day since that I can recall that he's released some type of content that he hasn't mentioned his brother's name in some form or fashion about something that he's not doing. And so with all that being said, and it was all over what? Because Omawali stated that the Black Manosphere, we should gatekeep the Black Manosphere, or there's a white woman in the Black Manosphere, white woman king in the Black Manosphere. So after all that, now I'm really like, okay, he's really right. Like this white woman triggered all that to where now two brothers who had a good build, both from the same city, are and it's not like I'm not saying it's a beef, and I put that in the title, but it's we know what beef is or whatever, right? But we'll say it's an online beef. It's a content creator beef. You know what I mean? It's not a real life beef, but content creator beef. Let's call it that. So, um, and so now and which was weird because I think in some of the videos that that Omawali was doing, She was in the chat. Like, pull up on the stream. I mean, if what you're saying, you believe 100% in what you're saying, and pull up instead of just being in the clouds. I mean, she had one of her the older mammies pull up, and I'm sorry to call the older sister that, but just some older woman pulling up defending her. They got other people, got black people defending her, and she's sitting back, uh, and she's sitting back smiling. I'm like, yo, like what, what's going on? So that really was like, okay, yeah, black people are really. She's not saying anything to me. She's not. She's 25. I mean, if we're going to criticize like a Hafiz for being, he's 33. He's older than her, and he has more life experience than her. And both of them don't have much life experience, and you could tell they just haven't been. They just haven't done anything. So she's just literally regurgitating what she's heard men saying, and I that kind of thing never impressed me. For one, she's just so she's just repeating what she's heard other people state. Well, it may be correct, but those are not original thoughts. So um you know and I'm not saying that she can't do whatever. I mean, obviously she can, and she is. So there's that part. But I mean, she's not really. She doesn't. I mean, she's just repeating what she's heard other people state. So, um, so with that, I think that again, Omawali had on. He had Obsidian on the show, and they were talking about this, and Obsidian is going to clip this, and he plays this particular portion to where Omawali asked something about because people were saying that just Pearly thing, you know she she did she did coaching with Hafiz. I think they stated that on that interview. I think she's coached with TLA, the lead attorney, Kevin Samuels, maybe a couple of other people in the Black Manosphere. So she's done coaching with all of them. And Omawali stated, okay, well, you know, talking about Anthony Dream Johnson, did he, do some coaching with Kevin Samuels, or no, this is how he said it. Did 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 uh did Omawali stated that did Obsidian have to drop a bag? I should have played it, but did Obsidian drop a bag to keep that guy Anthony whatever, I don't even know the guy's name. Anyway, the white guy from the white manosphere, whatever, that guy. Did he drop a bag to keep him from coming over to the black manosphere? And then I think Obsidian was like, no. And then Omawali was like, why? And then Obsidian was like, because you're not me. And then Omawali flushed him, and I get it because after that point, because it had been an hour and a half, whatever it was, of Obsidian just kind of kind of derail the conversation, and just okay, I want to just control the conversation and take it wherever I want to take it and not keep it on topic. But this is where the question should have been, and this is why I said asking, should we gatekeep the conversation? Nope, that's not the way to go. Asking, how do we gatekeep the black manosphere without the uh cosign of the black manosphere founders? How do we do that? That should be the focus. Okay, all right. The Obsidian, O'Shea, what is that other guy's name? Angry Man. Okay, these guys are the quote unquote founders of the Black Manosphere, whatever, right? Okay, so let's say they co-sign just Pearly things. All right, so then everybody else who feels or believes that we should be gatekeeping black spaces, then we need to get together and say, okay, you know what? How do we gatekeep without them? How do we go around them and gatekeep without their cosign they're co-signing of the gatekeeping, because that's really what is at the heart of the root of, well, that's the solution really. To get to the solution, you have to answer that question. How do you do it without them? Because if, yeah, it may be easy for them to do it, because like, again, almost obsession. I mean, I'm saying obsession. Obsidian. He may have been correct. Hey, I can do it because I'm one of the Black Manosphere founders. I can, I can, I can gatekeep that guy. O'Shea can gatekeep and keep April Mason and them fresh and fit dudes. They can keep them out of there. Okay, well, we're as O'Shea called himself, he's a shot caller. Okay, they're shot callers. They can do that. Okay, now how do the non-shot callers gatekeep people out? That should have been the question, and trying to answer that question. Okay. But that's enough with the just pearly things. I think the question was wrong. Instead of should we, how we should we, it should have been how we do it, and then how we do it without you know the Manosphere founders. And I really want to get to the personal stuff from Obsidian, and it's not, and it's no, this is not personal, because I don't know him personally. I don't know Omar Wally personally. I don't know none of these people personally. So none of this stuff is personal. It's just what I see and what I hear and what I know. So with Obsidian, some of the things that he's saying about Omar Wally is crazy. And uh, it he's he's shown himself up, and I'm subscribed to the brother. I'm like, because again, he's knowledgeable in the black relationships, in that arena. He has knowledge there, and he brings benefit there, I believe, you know. But some of the compulsive obsessive compulsive behavior that he has, like, I don't understand what is this thing for him to want every single brother like to go against Derek Jackson. And I saw this thing, and I'm like, yo, that's like 90% of us, or if not more, 90% of us didn't know who Derek Jackson was, until the first scandal. I didn't know who this dude was until that first scandal happened. I mean, that first scandal was so big, he got Donkey of the Day on the Breakfast Club. That's how big that was. And um again, since Derek Jackson with this second scandal here, there were people on Facebook who were like, who is this guy? People don't people j- Every day people don't know who this dude is like that. And for him to act like, well, you didn't know who he was until the scandal. Absolutely, because I didn't either. I'm like, dude, I don't keep up with people like that. That's just crazy. Like, we supposed to know every single. I wouldn't know who Ace Meta. I didn't know who Ace Metaphor was, except for I'm hearing Obsidian talk about him. I'm like, hell, Kevin Samuels had been around for uh, however long he was on YouTube, 2015 or whatever. And then 2020, all throughout 2020, he's blowing up or whatever. I didn't hear about him until the end of 2020, whenever that, just like the majority of the people heard about the average at best video. I'm like, my goodness, like, as if we just know who people are in the YouTube streets and so forth. Like, it's crazy. But again, I want to go here, and because I think Omar Wali, it seems from the last live stream, or the last video that he did, kind of talking about Obsidian not being a high value man, because he was in 2017, he was asking his subscribers to help him pay his light bill or whatever, electric bill or whatever it was. I think from that seemed to be, um for at least for Omar Wali's part, that he's kind of done talking about it, because it that seemed to be a nail in the coffin. But Obsidian, he seems to have he gets on this thing and he can't let it go. He's like a you know he's like a dog with a bone or something. He just doesn't want to let this thing go. He's just gonna keep talking about Omawali until I guess he feels like he won one. But I don't know. It's weird, but I gotta say this because you know there's a lot of things that I'm gonna talk to Obsidian directly. Actually, but if you're listening, brother, there's a lot of things that you do yourself that you sh- I mean, you really have no room to talk about anybody or any anybody else, and in particular, you called Omawali a hypocrite. You called the brother a hypocrite. I haven't seen the brother be hypocritical. You may not agree with him, but I've seen him that he's been consistent. And if he hasn't been, he has acknowledged when to me, in my opinion, what I've seen, he's acknowledged that hey, he made missteps here or there. Um, you know, you question whether the brother was married. You you first you question whether the brother was married, and then just recently you stated that the brother was, you stated the brother was cheating on his wife. I mean, brother, you don't even have a wife. As you love to say, put it on the wood. Like, you're a Muslim, man, or at least that's what you say. And I'm not going to call you a munafiq in terms of what Muslims describe as a munafiq. I can't call you that. But in the general sense of the word hypocrite, I'm going to call you a hypocrite because some of the things that you say, and you say you Muslim, you should not be saying. And some of the things that you admit to doing, you should not be doing as a Muslim because that's hypocritical. You state you are a Muslim, but you state you'll never get married. Then you state that you've been with a woman for 12 years and I guess you're living with her. Nonetheless, whatever you talk about all the sex that you having that you should have had none if you're a Muslim and you ain't married. That's hypocrisy number one. That is you like to use Arabic terms on your podcast. That's zina. That's a major sin in Islam. It's illegal sexual intercourse. Zina covers all forms of it. Whether you're having sex and you're not married, whether you are married and having sex with someone you're not married to, homosexuals, all of it. It covers everything. So you openly admit to committing zina. Come on, bro. That's hypocrisy. You try to get on Omawali about him drinking wine. And you're like, oh, that's not a man's drink. Drink brandy or whiskey or whatever it is that you drink. That's hypocrisy number two, dude. Brother, you say you are a Muslim, and Muslims, we don't drink alcohol. That's haram. You know what haram means? Haram means unlawful. Man, we got to start calling out these fake Muslims because, yo, you'll talk about Allahu Akbar and fitna, and you use all these Arabic words, inshallah, and all this. And that's the farthest that your Islam go. And I get it you from Philly. Philly doesn't have the best it doesn't have the best reputation as Muslims. We just saw with PNB Rock. He was talking about he Muslim and we see him drinking weed and got two baby mamas, and so like, yo, I get it. In some parts of Philly, one in particular around the Germantown Masjid, that's how they get down, right? It's widely known that hey, we just wild out and do whatever we want to do. We have Muslim rappers, we have Muslim entertainers, all do whatever they want to do, and that's not Islam. In Islam, there's rules and regulations. You can't say you Muslim and then didn't do whatever you want to do. That's hypocrisy. You want to get on Derek Jackson cheating on his wife. If his wife took him back, that's on them. Damn, yeah, we condemn the act. We condemn the act of um, like I said, zina. All forms of zina. If you're cheating on your wife, that's zina. If you're not married and you're having sex, you're doing the same thing. It's the same sin. Um, Obsidian. It's the same sin. It's the same wrong. It's haram. It's just as haram for you to have sex with Miss Brown Sugar or whoever else you having sex with, as Derek Jackson, who's married and having sex with other women. It's the same thing. So don't be a hypocrite when it comes to Derek Jackson, and then you doing the same thing. In Islam, you're doing the same thing, but either you Muslim or you ain't, because you say you Muslim. I can't put that. Derek Jackson, he cheated on his wife or whatever, whatever his religion is, whatever that is. That I don't agree with it. But I don't also agree with you having sex and you ain't married. It's the same thing. And then run around talking about you Muslim because you're making Muslims look bad, and that's not Islam. You know, I mean, I can keep going. You talk about um yeah, what else what else you told him? What else did you tell this brother? You told this brother um now I lost my train of thought about, because I don't got sidetracked on your Zena, man. And that's one of the biggest sins that you can commit as a Muslim. And then you openly brag and act like you being with a woman for 12 years is equivalent to a brother being married for 10 years. It's not equivalent. Because if it was, then you would just go ahead and get married. There's a big difference. That's why you keep saying you ain't gonna get married. But in Islam, you're supposed to get married. Now, and let me say this. So you don't you try to be slick or whatever and say, okay, you didn't get married in terms of the state, but you had a nikah. That's still being married. And for those that you don't know, nikah is Islamic ceremony. We don't have to get married according to he's in Philly or Pennsylvania. You don't have to get married in terms of the state, go down to the state court or state uh, justice of the peace or whatever y'all got in Philly or PA or whatever. But you can perform all the rites, give her all her rights in terms of the Islamic dowry or the mar, whatever you want to call it. You know, have her guardian wali or whatever sign off on it or whatever, and then y'all have y'all marriage contract and you married like that or whatever in Islam. But it's still a marriage. So so you can't run around and say, "Hey, well, I got married this way, but I didn't get married that way. That's why I'm able to live." No, that's still being married. 'Cause you still married, man. And as a matter of fact, I think in PA, Pennsylvania, I think they recognize religious marriages, if I'm not mistaken, which basically is common law marriage or yeah, because some of them don't have. I think they recognize religious marriages in um, if not all of PA, probably at least in Philadelphia. I read that somewhere. But nonetheless, you know what? Oh, and this was the other thing. And according to according to according to the Quran, I mean, I hear you say some crazy stuff about, like you just was talking about the Prophet Muhammad allowed men to get married to form it. No, that didn't come from the Prophet Muhammad. That came from the Quran, and which is coming from Allah, man. It's so crazy how well you know stuff about the black relationships, and you got that down to a T, so much that you could write a book on it. But the thing that you say that you supposed to practice and it's supposed to be your deen is not just as a religion, it's a way of life. You seem to not know a whole lot about it, or at least if you do, you ain't practicing it based on what you're saying. You know, when you when the Quran says that um very surely the salat, the offering, the prayers, and so forth, will keep you off of doing evil, and then you openly admit to evil, you openly admit to the sins that you're committing. Holy, I mean, dude, like, it's crazy. And then you openly state how you are an avowed hedonist. You state that like, yo, like it's nothing, like like your words ain't written in Lahul Mahfuz, man. Like, come on, bro. Like your words are being written down, man. Like, you are an avowed hedonist. That's total opposite of Islam, because a hedonist, he just whatever his nafs, whatever his desires are, he just fulfills all of his desires. And Islam ain't that way. In Islam, we are supposed to check our desires, our nuffs. They call it the nuffs, the self desires. We're supposed to control that. One of the ways that we control it is through the fasting. You know, we control it through the fasting. That's why we fast the month of Ramadan, so we can gain self control. You know, uh, through abstaining from, you know, eating those things that are prohibited. Not just pork. Pork, of course, is haram throughout. But if there's chicken or beef that's not slaughtered in a proper way, that's haram. So we restrain ourselves. We gain self control, by not eating certain food. Like I can't just go anywhere. Like because again, I stated I was contemplating moving up to Philly back in the late '90s when the IT jobs were hot up there in the King of Prussia area. So I've been down to the Germantown Masjid and all this stuff. And I was scouting out where I was gonna live in Philly because I had a bunch of job offers up there in the King of Prussia area. And back in the night. So I spent time there and I know a lot of brothers from there. So but anyway, um, you know, we're supposed to leave off that. That's one of the reasons why we don't. Yeah, would it be cool to sit down and catch up and have a beer with the homies that I ain't seen in a long time, or have a drink with the homies that I ain't seen in a long time? Yeah, but I can't do that because I say I'm Muslim. I have to control my desires. All right, if they drinking, hey man, y'all go ahead. I'm cool. I'm chilling. I ain't drinking nothing. You know what I mean? Like that's what a Muslim does. We don't just get into our desires. Oh, I want to drink with the homies, so I'm gonna go ahead and drink because it don't matter. No, it does matter. You're supposed to control that desire. I just can't go out here and have sex with, you know, 1,000 honeys or whatever because I want to. No, I got to control that. Not just from the standpoint, again, you just look at Derek Jackson because he married and he took that on. Okay, fine. But as a Muslim, you took on something as well that you say you believe in the whole of the book. I can point out to you many places where it says what you're doing with your in your relationship right now is haram. Many places in the Quran that says it, that is clear on how haram it is for you, to have unmarried sex, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You don't sit up here and keep claiming that you Muslim and then you're gonna claim that somebody else is a hypocrite, and then you you're one of the biggest hypocrites in terms of your own words that you're saying. I mean, you thought you was checking this brother because this brother drinking wine and you drink a man's drink. Like, dude, you Muslim. You ain't supposed to drink nothing. What you talking about? You know, that's I mean, y'all dudes with this half Islam, y'all Islam, like a lot of the sisters like to get on y'all about how brothers practice Islam, not Islam, but Islam. You just whatever you want to do. Y'all got to stop that, man. Like, yo, I it's funny because I said this when I was like, I didn't want to I didn't want to go too far with P and B Rock because and man, the man passed, but you still living and you sitting up here talking about somebody else is a hypocrite. Come on, bro. And again, if any Muslim get on here and listen, I'm not calling this brother a munafiq. I can't say that. I don't know what he believes. I'm just going off of what he says he does, which is counter to what Islam is. So that's why I'm calling him a hypocrite. I'm not calling him a munafiq. It's a difference. Okay. So I don't want to see no idiot comments about you can't call him a munafiq. I can call him a hypocrite because of what he says he does, and that's counter to what Islam is. If you say you got a girlfriend for 12 years, if you say you got a girlfriend for 12 years and you ain't married and you ain't ever gonna get married, but you're talking about how much sex you've been having, yo, you're a hypocrite if you say you're a Muslim and you talking like that. If you say you Muslim and then you talking about what you drink, what kind of alcohol you drink, yo, you're a hypocrite. Now, and what? So, you know, again, and like I said, I think Omar Wali did. I think he's finished on that part. He proved that you, with the high value man stuff, and your own words prove that high value man stuff. If you are one, it's just happened now because you know just recently. But by your own words, when you say certain women are invisible to high value men, so I saw on O'Shea's channel, he did a review of, I guess, the beef between you and what's that clown? That you could tell he was a big nerd back in the day. He's Fresh and Fit's homeboy. What is his name? Donovan Sharp. Damn, I can't even think of these dudes' names half the time. Anyway, so he did a video on this Donovan Sharp thing, and in that video, I guess Donovan Sharp was talking about certain people, women. He was talking about the brother Abba. I mean, brother Preach, his wife, and then he brought up your lady, Miss Brown Sugar, and he showed a picture of her. And I don't know if that was her, but if that was her, then by your own words, you weren't a high value man if you got with her and she had weight on her, um because you said those type of women are invisible to high value men. So by your own words, you wouldn't be a high value, or you at least you weren't a high value man back then whenever you got with her. To if she's a big woman or whatever, and you say she lost weight, by your own words, and I'm not disparaging her because I don't disparage people's uh, uh their women or none of that stuff. I whatever. So this not any attack on her whatsoever. But by your own words, you were saying that Donovan Sharp, he lost the weight. Why couldn't Miss Brown Sugar lose the weight? And she was with someone who caused her stress and all this kind of stuff or whatever. Well, a high value man, as you stated, that type of woman would be invisible to the high value man. So you, by your own words, are proving that you're not a high value man. But that all that aside, I think that part was done. But man, come on, man, let that stuff go with whatever it is. It's like every day is something, and again, obviously, yes, I know I don't have to tune in. I don't tune in. I just I just sit and I'm like, I already know where this is going. I'm like, okay, he's gonna. This is clearly something about Omawali. Hell, I know you're gonna do something about Derek Jackson. I know you're gonna talk about Omawali because Omawali is invisible to. Come on, bro. Like, why are you upset? Hey, man, if you felt like you were in a debate and you lost, you lost. Just take the L. You the one that said, okay, 2022 or whatever, you're gonna be like Saint Kevin, and you're not gonna beef. It looks pretty much like a beef, bro. When you're constantly saying something, constantly calling the brother, and it's ad hominems. It isn't anything debunking anything that he's saying. It's just ad hominems. Oh, he's cheating on his wife. You said the brother was cheating on his wife. Well, damn, at least he got a wife. You ain't got put it as you say. Put it on the wood. Get a wife. Then you can start talking about people with wives, man. What are you talking about? You don't even have one. Don't give me the stuff that you've been with a woman committing zina for 12 years. I don't want to hear that. That ain't the same. As you state, put it on the wood. You ain't put it on the wood, then you could just be quiet. But man, I mean, I see these young guys. Same thing I was saying about Hafiz. These young guys um come out here and want to give advice to men, and um and they clearly need they clearly need coaching themselves. My brother, you need coaching because this obsession that you have, you should change your name from Obsidian to Obsession Mumia Ali, because the obsession with Derek Jackson, you're not going to change what Derek Jackson is able to do. Um, you know, you talked about it, you talked about it, you talked about it. Okay, cool. Um, you're not going to be able to. I mean, what are you going to do if his wife wanted to stay with him after his cheating? That's on her. I don't advise it. I wouldn't advise if she was my daughter. I would. Hey, look, you gotta, do something different or whatever. But for everybody to have to take on your fights, no, the black community would get nowhere if everybody had my same concerns and my same issues, and we all talked about the same issues. Nothing would ever get done. That's the point of being having different voices, different opinions, and different outlooks and so forth, so that you can do more than one thing at one time. You know, um, but Again, you're just as much a hypocrite as Derek Jackson. Sorry. You're committing zina just like Derek Jackson in terms of Islam because you Muslim. So we judge by the book. We don't judge by what other people say. We judge by what Islam say. So, you are the hypocrite like Derek Jackson by committing zina for 12 years. Um, you know, but anyway, I'm not gonna keep beleaguering the point. I mean, just going on and on and on or whatever. Because there's so much stuff that you can say, and I can pull up the receipts if you need me to or whatever. That you didn't say all this stuff or whatever. I mean, dude, I mean, you said it. I mean, I shouldn't have to go through doing all that because this is a video to you, and I'm talking directly to you. If the listeners want to see it, then I'll pull it up. But whatever, it's not that big a deal. But man, you can't run around here calling people hypocrite and you are a hypocrite yourself. Man, dude, go get married or stop claiming Islam. Go get married. Stop drinking alcohol. If you're drinking alcohol, stop it. You know, e- even if you don't go to the state and get married, man, go down to your masjid if you even have one, and go get the nikah done. you know and with all the stuff that you're saying, it's no way that it's no way that you're praying properly. It's no way that you're praying 5 times a day, because if you're praying 5 times a day, the salat itself will stop you from doing what's haram. The salat itself will make you feel guilty about committing zina. The salat itself will make you feel guilty about drinking alcohol or whatever it else is that you do that that goes against Islam. So there's no way that you're praying 5 times a day. No way. It- I would bet anything that if and I can't even bet because guess what? Again, in Islam, betting is haram, right? But if I could bet, I would bet anything that you're not praying 5 times a day. No way. Just from your characters, no way that you praying 5 times a day. From the language that you use, from the the sins that you openly confess to, to thousands of people. Or and if it's not true, then you're lying. So then even the liar, you know, the salat should prevent you from even telling a lie if you're praying properly. Anyway, this is not to jump in any kind of beef or whatever, but truths have to be said. Omawali's not Muslim, so he may or may not necessarily know that aspect of it, what I know about Islam. And part of why I'm here actually is to call out Muslims who claim that they're Muslim, but then just run around and do whatever it is that they want to do. Like, come on, man, we got so many rappers and entertainers claiming Islam, and then just do anything and whatever. There's no rules or there's no boundaries set in Islam that you have to adhere to. Come on, man. But anyway, family, I gotta go. It's about my fight time, and I'm way longer than I thought I would be anyway. I didn't think I would be on here in an hour, but I do appreciate you for rocking with me. Anybody that's still rocking with me, I'm still here. Like I said, just been under the weather, was out of the country, got sick, something, whatever kind of flu, upper respiratory, and my throat is jacked still. My my throat is about screaming for warm tea. I'm gonna jump on that as soon as I get off. But yeah, again, appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And again, this is not about no beef, but this is about, look, this is about right is right, wrong is wrong. And when it comes to talking about, I'm Muslim, and yeah, I take offense to certain things. And like I said, the brother gave a good build. The brothers had a good build, and I'm like, for it to turn around this, and it is about a white woman. Uh, you know, again, Omawali was right that it looks like they have crowned that woman as the woman king. And again, wasn't trying to make this personal about Obsidian, but right is right, wrong is wrong. And if you can call out, if you, quote unquote, call out Omawali for being hypocritical and being a hypocrite and all this kind of stuff, and well, then guess what? I'm a Muslim over here and making content, and I see your content, and I'm gonna call out your hypocrisy as well. Um, but anyway, again, appreciate your family for pulling up. Anybody that pulled up, anybody click on the video, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, man. And again, appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Peace, Rebel family.